It is the penultimate Manchester United game in the Premier League. It is the penultimate game for the Premier League season for Man United. The away game, a Friday night clash at Stamford Bridge, with a twist of narrative. I mean, for Manchester United, it isn't just another top flight fixture. It's a tune-up before the biggest game of the campaign, the UEFA Europa League Final against Tottenham Hotspur. But with just 5 days between the trip to Chelsea and the final at Bilbao, many expected Ruben Amorim to rotate heavily, but the manager insists that the focus is on momentum, rhythm, and performance, as I've brought to you in the press conference, pre-match press conference ahead of the Chelsea game. Now, he says we cannot spend 8 or 9 days, a quote from the press conference, we cannot spend 8 or 9 days without a game. Amorim stated, the best thing to prepare for the final is to play this game. United are without a league win in 7 games. But beyond this result, this match offers fringe players a final audition and starters a chance to fine-tune. Against an evolving and tactically nuanced Chelsea under Enzo Maresca, this clash is not a formality. It is a strategic stepping stone for Manchester United, despite all the negatives and all the things that have been surrounding the club of late. So, let me know your thoughts and feelings about the game. Do you think that Manchester United should go full strength or should rest players? Amorim has said he doesn't think we should rest players. We're not going to rest players. It's a fine tune for the game. So, we're going to go into kind of like form guide. We're going to break down the head-to-head and historical perspective. We're going to also break down like the tactical perspective from the Chelsea's point of view to the tactical perspective from Manchester United's point of view, and we'll give you a predicted lineup and key players, as well as how Manchester United can beat Chelsea. Now, let's break it down based on form guide. Now, with form guide heading into the game, Manchester United head to London winless in 7 Premier League games, as I stated in the intro. Now, this is very crucial for us to understand because, in truth, we have been horrendous in the league. Now, between Manchester United and Chelsea, we've played each other 194 times. Chelsea have 55 wins. There have been 62 draws between both teams, and Man United have 77 wins. Now, if we're going to go based on historical perspectives with regards to recent form, Chelsea in the Premier League have 3 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw, while Man United obviously are winless in 7. Especially in the last 5 games, we had 4 losses and a draw, right? And then also with regards to form in all competitions, basically Chelsea have 4 consecutive wins and a loss. So they had 4 wins before. They were on a they were on a winning streak, a 4-game winning streak, and then they lost the 5th one, and that is the game against Newcastle where they lost 2-0. And Man United have had an up and down roller coaster. Premier League, Europa League, win, loss, win, loss. For Man United, it's been a barrage of 2 losses, 2 wins, and 1 draw in the last 5. So it is very important that Manchester United, that we have this mindset heading into the game. Manchester United obviously need this win. We need to get to 40 points at least. It's a poorest season in a long while. Defensively, the squad has been decimated by injuries despite the flashes of attacking promise, and that's something nobody's talking about. We've not had a consistent starting lineup for a while. We've been decimated by injuries and all of that. Consistency also has eluded us. If you have a consistency of like 3 or 4 or 5 games with the same lineup, I mean, they'll build rhythm, right? But we've always had players in and out, right? Just when Leniero was already starting to become the key player, as he has always been all season, he gets injured. Just when Enzo Maresca was starting to, get in his stride, he gets very fatigued. He has to be rested. If not, he's going to get injured. The semi-final destruction of Athletic Club in the Europa League showcased a ruthless, well-coordinated United, the kind that Amorim wants to replicate. Now, Chelsea, meanwhile, are finding form late in the season. Despite recent absences up front, they've begun to adapt to Enzo Maresca's intricate patterns of play, and they were unlucky not to come away with more against Newcastle. Even though they lost 2-0, they couldn't take charge of the Newcastle game to continue to show signs of becoming more complete and a possession dominant side. But if we're going to go with head-to-head, as I spoke to you earlier, Chelsea and Manchester United versus Manchester United in the Premier League is a Premier League classic, and this has also delivered memorable moments over decades. I mean, United have had a better, like I said earlier, United have had it better in recent meetings, including a dominant 2-1 victory earlier in the season at Old Trafford, where Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford exploited Chelsea's spaces, exploited Chelsea's defensive gaps. However, Stamford Bridge remains a tricky venue for United, who have not won there since 2012. That's the thing. That is the thing. It's really tough to say. Last season's draw in the fixture came with a late drama, right? And with both teams under new management this time around, tactical evolution adds another layer to the contest. Now, how Chelsea play under Enzo Maresca. This was basically a summary of the tactical analysis for how Chelsea play under Enzo Maresca. Now they do like a layout build-up where they create passing lanes through staggered midfield positions and a double pivot that operates with different vertical lines, opening third man combinations that bypass pressing lines, as well as they use numerical superiority. They do third man combination and pocket play. They also exploit half spaces, and they do a high back line and counter pressing because it defends aggressively. I mean, Maresca's side defends aggressively, keeping defenders high, compact, and when possession is lost, they swarm the ball in central areas. And obviously, they line up in a shape of 4-2-3-1 mid-block, which allows them to force play wide and recover centrally, especially when they use their wing back. This Chelsea side wants to pin you back and with structure, and they stretch your lines with overloads. United must be very tactically alert and disciplined to survive those overloads and expose the spaces behind that they leave when they press. Right? Now, the predicted lineup for Chelsea, we're going to go from what they did in the last game and the fact that one of the players got a red card against Newcastle, and that is Nico Jackson. So we're going to go with a lineup that looks like this. Now they're going to start with Sanchez in goal, and then we have Levi Colwill and Nathan Chalobah in defense. They play 4-2-3-1 with Cucurella and Caicedo playing as the left back and right back respectively, and then they have Enzo Fernandez and Levia playing as the 2-6s, and then Cole Palmer, your best player, attacking mid, and then you have Keenan Dewsbury-Hall replacing Jadon Sancho, who is ineligible to play against his parent club Manchester United. And then from there we have Noni Madueke, who just back from injury and has played a couple of games. He plays as the wing back, a right wing forward or attacker for Chelsea. And then I don't know who they're going to play as a striker, so I'm just putting Neto there. It is what it is. They might play false nine, they might play anybody there, but it is what it is. Now, to key player for Chelsea in this match will be Cole Palmer. He's just peak form of late. He started to score goals. He's played 41 games, and that's over 3,400 minutes. He scored 15 goals. He has 9 assists in all competitions this season, and he scored in the last game, and he's played a couple of games. The last couple of games they've played. In the last Premier League game, he scored in their win and all of that. So, yeah, that's key player for Chelsea is Cole Palmer. Now, over to Manchester United. Now, how does Manchester United play? How can Manchester United approach this game? Now, Manchester United, despite Chelsea's control-oriented style, there are vulnerabilities, right? Manchester United play a 3-4-3 formation that relies on the wing backs to counter Chelsea's style of play. It relies on wing backs to press forward and create chances up top with 2 6s who hold up play. One is a disruptor and the other is a ball carrier. And then the back three also are ball control, ball playing, one centre back with 2 ball playing centre backs on either side. And then you have 2 10s who are also ball carriers, skillful players, chance creators, amongst other things. And then you also have the striker. So they look to exploit spaces. They look to go over the line and, go between the line and also counter press when needed, create overloads, and then also exploit spaces and half spaces and passing lanes in between the lines and all of that. So, which brings me to the predicted starting lineup for Manchester United. And this is kind of tricky because for me, I feel this lineup is kind of like a mirror image, albeit expected, of what we can see in the final. But I don't think that this is the lineup that starts the final. But Ruben Amorim had to say those things he had to say to put people off. So the predicted starting lineup for Manchester United against Chelsea will go as Andrew Onana in net, Victor Lindelof, Enzo Maresca and Luke Shaw playing as the centre backs, and then you have Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte playing as the 2 6s, and then we have Harry Amas and Patrick Dogu playing as the wing backs, and then you also have Alejandro Garnacho playing as Alejandro Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes playing as the 2 10s, and then we have Rasmus Højlund up top. For this lineup, what I really expect is obviously Casemiro will be the guy who makes the transition play quickly. Manuel Ugarte becomes the disruptor in the mid. And then Harry Amas and Patrick Dogu put up good performances with Enzo Maresca and Luke Shaw being our ball carrying centre backs that will play. I mean, Maresca has played them multiple times. Luke Shaw also, Ruben Amorim apparently respects him. And then hopefully we can get goals in this side. I mean, with Garnacho exploiting spaces and all of that. So, if we're going to go with this, then how can Manchester United... No, let's go with key player first of all. Key player for Manchester United. Now, for key player for Manchester United, we're going to go with Bruno Fernandes, as always. And I always say because he's the highest performing player in the Manchester United squad. He's played 54 games, over 4,500 minutes, and he has 19 goals and 17 assists. Outperforming every season, over 10 goals per season. He has 19 goals, 17 assists. And the last time he scored was against Athletic Bilbao in the first leg of the Europa League. And then he was just rested in the Premier League and then came back in the second leg, didn't score. And then obviously that first leg he scored 2 goals and then played against West Ham and then we lost, unfortunately. So, yeah. Bruno Fernandes has been our key man, our star player, all through the season, and he has always, done amazing things for this team, and we can't overemphasize how important he is to the squad and to the team. And also other key players to watch, Casemiro. This is pre-preparation for the final, and then obviously we have Garnacho as well. These players need to turn up. Casemiro as well, obviously do great things, create assists as always, create chances as always, disrupt play as always, quick transitions. And then for Garnacho, be our outlet for pace, for stretching the game, for one-on-ones. I expect that Ahmad will play this game, but not from the start, because I think Ruben Amorim want to test out what the feel of some of the players would be when it comes to starting lineups. Even though I don't like the fact that Amas is going to start the game for me, and Ruben Amorim might want to try Patrick Dogu on the left. We never know what Amorim. I'm just giving out a sensible lineup that Manchester United can play as we look forward to playing against Tottenham Hotspur. But it is what it is. Now, how can Manchester United beat Chelsea or even hurt Chelsea? Despite Chelsea's control-oriented style, there are vulnerabilities, as I said. First and foremost, transition and wide areas. Now, Chelsea often leave spaces behind their fullbacks and staggered pivots. Now, United can exploit these. I always give four ways Man United can hurt Chelsea or hurt teams. So let's do this one. Now, United can exploit these spaces, especially with quick ball progression from midfield to wide runners like Garnacho or Ahmad. Obviously, if we're having Garnacho playing as one of the 10s, he's going to play as a wide guy and all of that. And then also, we could isolate the centre backs. That's number 2. Isolate the centre backs with Nicholas Jackson suspended. No one and no out-and-out striker. Chelsea might also play a false 9, leaving them less aggressive in transition. And United's midfield, like Casemiro, Ugarte, even Bruno Fernandes, and if Menu plays as well, or Mount, could also press higher and create turnovers in advanced areas, right? Also, with regards to other things that can hurt Chelsea, overload on the weak fullback or weak side fullback. That's number 3. Now, Chelsea's 1v1 vulnerabilities on the side, on the far side, can be targeted with quick switches from Bruno Fernandes to maybe Garnacho or even Ahmad, finding players in space to cross and most probably shoot, especially in the case of Garnacho, or creating a chance for Rasmus Højlund, right? And then also, we need to countering the press. That's the 4th one. With Højlund available to hold up play and link with advancing midfielders, if he can do that effectively, United can beat Chelsea's counter press by bypassing their initial wave and then finding the second phase of runners. So if Højlund comes short, receives the ball and passes it back to the mid, maybe in the person of Bruno Fernandes or Casemiro, then the runners already start. Garnacho already starts running, Amas or even Patrick Dogo starts running, and we just have to switch it, right? And then when we switch it, we are already behind the line, and then we have to cross and make sure we finish our chances. Because that's what we're lacking in the last couple of games. That's what we've been lacking. Unable to finish our chances. But if we can do that now, that will be very, very, good, right? Now, finally, before we conclude all of this, Ruben Amorim's strategy and squad decisions are very key in this one. Amorim has made it clear that it is not a throwaway game. While injured players like, Martinez and Dalot and De Ligt and Euro and Heaven are being monitored closely, especially with the fact that I'm so happy that Toby Collier is also back but there's also a chance he might play the final game, but we never can tell, right? Now, they've been monitored closely for a final. Others are being encouraged to play themselves into the match for sharpness. Toby Collier, as I said, and Johnny Evans could also be drafted in, and United may also stick to a familiar back 3 or go pragmatic, go pragmatic defending Chelsea on Chelsea's setup. Amorim's words underline his focus. He says the best thing is to prepare for the final, and the best way to prepare for the final is to play the game. If you play or don't play against Chelsea, it doesn't mean anything for the final. Now, we expect Manchester United to balance the intensity with caution. Obviously, Ruben Amorim tends to do that a lot, to balance the intensity with caution and basically just not avoid, obviously we could avoid injuries, but also maintain the rhythm and keep tactical identity sharp, because the games that are left in the season are very crucial for Man United. Now, to conclude all of this, basically, this match at Stamford Bridge is more than a dress rehearsal. We all know this. It is the final test, right, for Man United. It is a chance to rediscover our domestic confidence and give key players final minutes, right? And sharpen the tactical execution. For Chelsea, it's about, continuing their upward trend and testing Maresca's blueprint against a top-level opposition. But we expect a chess match. Amorim wants intensity without recklessness. Maresca wants control without compromise. But both managers may have an eye on the horizon. But 90 minutes in London, they will be fully locked in. And for United, it's not just about beating Chelsea. It's about heading into Bilbao with belief, with rhythm, and no excuses. That is what it is. That is what it is. Ruben Amorim is thinking deeper and is thinking, more expansive and futuristic. But also, these 3 games left in the season are very crucial. And it will be good if we end them with wins. Obviously, when we play against Tottenham, Aston Villa, they have nothing to play for unless they are still going to be fighting for the top 5, right? Or to solidify their spot in the top 5. But for Man United, we need to get 3 wins. And that is all we need. So this is 1.0, right? And then the next 2 games as they go, we need to get wins. So let me know your thoughts and feelings about the predicted lineup. I know that everybody wants us to start a full strength squad, but I'm kind of thinking from a sensitive perspective, seeing as Ruben Amorim, I want to protect someone like Harry Maguire. I won't be surprised if John Evans comes in later in the game, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.